Thank you. And Vishaka has been such a great entrepreneur. When anybody thinks about working globally, there's one model to look at. You are the first global arts organization, and it's really exciting to be here on the stage with you. So thank you all. Okay, how many of you have been in New York City in the art world for, let's say, I could barely even see any of you, the past 20 years or more? Okay, maybe half of us, you think? So half of you will remember with me that 20 years ago, there were very few, maybe dozens of galleries in New York City, not nearly 1,000 galleries. Biennial, or Biennale, wasn't a household name, right? I don't think we even heard of an art fair 20 years ago. Boy, have things changed, correct? Today, artists, I remember actually artists used to show in Paris and New York, and Berlin sounded exotic. But today, they're showing in places from, Lebanon to Lagos, from Papua New Guinea to Port-au-Prince, from Seoul to Sharjah. In fact, I'm on my way to Sharjah this weekend. The art world has really changed. And so in light of all these new opportunities and the fact that artists truly are privileged global citizens, I asked artists, what are your needs? What are you thinking about? You're a global citizen. What's going on? And again, artists told me, we want to get off the racetrack of the art market. We want to engage with people and places and the cultures where we're visiting. We want to create artwork that is meaningful, historically important, relevant to the times that we're living. As a curator, I couldn't hope to hear anything better than that, right? So thanks to the Rockefeller Cultural Innovation Fund, last year Creative Time piloted our global residency program. It's really pretty simple. We sent 6 artists to places in the world where they had burning questions. It's a little like other residency models, but also a little bit unlike traditional residency models. In traditional residency models, for example, artists are usually limited to go to a region of the world or to a specific place. In this case, artists can go wherever they have a burning desire. Traditionally, in a residency model, an artist will go into the studio and write or paint in isolation. In this case, the artists are required to connect with people, everyday people, in the places where they're visiting. And the artists are not required to have an end product. It's kind of strange as a public arts organization, we're not saying there must be a public art project that comes out of this. We just trust and have faith that this learning process, this process of engagement, will have an impact on the artist's work. So for example, this past year we sent artist Maya Lin, I think you probably all know Maya Lin, who's working on her 5th and final memorial. I always laugh at her. It's kind of like the Rolling Stones going on their last
Never
tour.
again, right?
And she had the burning question of what is missing? What is missing from our natural habitats? So our little grant sent her to places all over China, Poland, the Everglades, and Mexico. And she engaged with scientists and people in their communities, documenting in audio and video what it is that's missing from their natural habitats. Or another example, street artist Swoon, for those of you who are a bit younger, decided that she wanted to learn how an artist can participate in the physical rebuilding of a place in crisis, not just the cultural or spiritual rebuilding of a place in crisis. So off she went to Haiti after the earthquake a year ago and has been participating in rebuilding an actual village just north of Port-au-Prince, where she has come up with, her and her colleagues, a hive-like, beautiful architectural structure that's very earthquake resistant and hires people locally and trains them on this building technique. So you have these artists who are being sent out into the world as part of our global residency. And I think I'm going to forget a point, so bear with me for a second. Oh, I didn't really forget anything. But so here's the point that I really want to make. I don't really think that it's so, well, it's important that we listen to artists and that our global residency is inspired by artists. And it's also inspired by, other types of residency models, just a little bit of a unique spin on it that already exists. But I think that there's something more important here. And that is that this model is part of a larger cultural moment, something a lot of people call the change revolution. In this change revolution, individuals all over our country and all over the world are exercising their individual power to make change happen, to make the world a better and more just place. So I want to give you an example of that. Is my mic going in and out? Can you guys hear me okay?
It's okay.
Just my audio, I guess. So a few months ago, some of you will probably know about this. I'm going to say it right. Weil? Go ahead. Weil?
That's all right.
Go ahead. Weil Ghonim, a 30-year-old Egyptian engineer from Google, made a very profound little gesture, one that actually lit the spark or ignited a revolution in Egypt. All he did was anonymously post on Facebook a page that said, "We are all Khalid Said," in honor of a young man who was brutally beaten and killed by the Egyptian police. The killing was one of many, in fact, that enraged primarily youth in Egypt as well as the disenfranchised and disaffected. This Facebook page became a magnet for people to express their frustration and to begin to organize and mobilize their protests against the Mubarak regime. According to Weil, quote, "A small action can be a catalyst for huge social upheaval." His simple and small action overthrew or helped to overthrow an oppressive dictatorship. All over the world, in fact, people are taking individual actions to end diseases, to fight for social justice, to create new models of living and being in the world. There's lots of evidence of this. For example, the nonprofits and NGOs that are working in developing countries, conferences like TED and the Clinton Global Initiative. And of course, the protests that we've seen from Libya to Wisconsin. All around us, there are people who believe that their individual actions matter and that the time is now to do the right thing. And those people include artists. Artists all over the world are fighting injustice, collaborating with people, highlighting discrimination and bigotry, working to eradicate poverty. They're at the table with unlikely collaborators. We're not seeing this work in our museums. It's impossible practically to show in our galleries, but it is happening. And this is a very important part of the work that's being done globally, culturally, to benefit people all around the world.
Okay, well, thank you all so much. There's just so much to discuss. What we'll do is we'll have a little bit discussion on stage here, and then we'll open up to questions from the audience. Please take this moment to check your phone. If you're not sure if it's off, please check that it's off, this side of the room in particular. Okay, so